She came back for the spare key at 3:15, still wearing last night's lipstick, like a bruise she brought to me. The hallway light was flickering. The neighbors kept their peace. She said, "I won't be long, my love," and stepped inside the heat. She walked straight to the kitchen, like the years were still arranged, like the chair beside the window hadn't learned another name. She found the little key dish by the bowl beside the sink, and smiled the way the guilty do before they ask for a drink. I said, "You left that key here back in 2009. She said, "I know, but leave the sermon for the priests and cheaper wine." Then she held it in her fingers like a charm against the cold, like a woman touching history just to see if it still holds. I asked her how the husband was, the one with cleaner hands, the one who buys the expensive roses and still believes in plans. She said he sleeps like a cathedral, cold, impressive, hard to move. Then she looked around my kitchen like it still had something to prove. I poured us both a little whiskey from the bottle near the stove, and she stood there in the silence like a saint who'd lost her robe. There was nothing left between us that the years had failed to steal, just a crack inside the evening and the habit not to heal. She said, "I didn't come for the key." I said, "No, I suppose you still keep it by the window." She said, "The way you keep your ghosts." Then she laughed without a witness. Then she cried without a sound, and I watched her close her hand around it like a prayer she'd nearly drowned. She kissed me on the forehead like a widow at a wake. Not enough to start a fire, not enough to call a mistake. Then she slipped the key into her coat and stood there at the door like a woman choosing mercy from a man who had no more. She came back for the spare key. That much is maybe true, but she left with something smaller and far more hard to lose. The hallway light kept trembling. The dawn came thin and gray, and the lock stayed in the kitchen long after she had gone away.